My name is Andrew Trevarrow. I am, or was, a student at Western Michigan University. I just graduated in April, and now will be pursuing my master's degree in English at the university in Illinois State University, and I'm working with children's literature. But more specifically, I am still pursuing something that goes along with what I followed for many years, and that's LGBT inclusion. What I would like to look at as a doctoral focus is looking at how we portray orientation and gender as arbitrary, unnecessary labels in adolescent literature and how that's evolved over time. Something that is going on in this community, which we were just talking about, in June, actually June 13th, 14th, and 15th, will be Kalamazoo Pride. Pride is something that has evolved over time since the late 60s and 70s to include festivals, parades, parties, general get-togethers, where people come together to not only recognize but to celebrate diversity, in that we are all the same because we are all different and will never have a common set of characteristics no matter who you are, what race, gender, orientation, nationality, religious belief, etc., etc. Kalamazoo Pride is special because, first of all, we have a very inclusive community, at least set up, one that's not necessarily always recognized but should be. The KJLRC is an organization in Kalamazoo that I've worked with only sparingly because I've not had the time to, but in my experience I've worked with both volunteers and those who are the directors of it, and have had wonderful experiences there. The previous director, Zach Bauer, was followed by Jay Maddock, I believe, and Jay has been in this community for a long time and has done both drag performance and also has led many events such as this year's Kalamazoo Pride Parade, or Kalamazoo Pride Festival, if you would. Other interesting experiences, though, that I really value are working with the people of Kalamazoo, like Christine Babcock, who for a long time led the Queer Women's Council on the KJLRC, and that's something that resurged and was a necessary resurgence because certain communities, even in Kalamazoo, as diverse as it is, deserve recognition and we're not receiving it. So we're seeing lots of change rapidly over time, where Kalamazoo is really, stepping up to the plate, and that's why I'm looking forward to this year's Kalamazoo Pride, even though I won't be able to attend. Like I said, it's on the 13th, 14th, and 15th, and I know that while this year I won't be there, it's going to be exceptional. I will actually be in Boston for Boston Pride instead because I'm visiting my mother. Yeah, often in Pride and Pride parades or in Pride festivals, depending on where they're located and their magnitude, there are things like parades, there are like music performances, live music performances. There's often venues that will sell like memorabilia that preach equality and preach diversity. It's very common to see rainbows and other symbols of pride and of diversity. Drag is a very common event at any pride parade or pride festival because drag performance is something that exemplifies how arbitrary gender and orientation are. And drag performance also shows that while we socially decide to label something as masculine or feminine or male or female, it's really up to the individual to choose their own identity, and it really underscores how important we all identify others as our own, within our own terms. So when you see someone on drag or in drag, you recognize that they're doing their own thing, their own identity, but you also are trying to take them in to your own perceptions, and in that you are labeling them, which can be problematic, but at the same time, drag performance as an event does underscore that process. So that's why I think it's really important and really cool to see, especially at Pride. And we have a very, very, very active drag community in Kalamazoo too. Western, being a very important part of Kalamazoo, is actually recognized within the top universities across the country for LGBT inclusiveness. However, it also has a reputation for being a conservative college overall throughout time, because also a very old university. And I'm happy to have worked with many faculty and students in the university where their focus is either LGBT awareness or at least something in the humanities, where they're teaching communication and identity through socialization and how we need to ethically go about that. Kalamazoo, as far as LGBT inclusiveness, is also good because we have the ARC, we also have KJLRC, we have a awesome resource center with CARES that offers very important testing services for those who are worried about their health when it comes to sexual health and or autoimmune diseases. Outspoken, a registered student organization at Western University, and also the Office of LGBT Student Services, two major contributors to Pride and also to the community. I know that community outreach is something that Outspoken has been working on for the last year at least, really emphasizing their contacts with the KJLRC and also the events that they put forth in the community. I remember we held a event at a lake where we did a bit of a barbecue, minus the barbecue because it was a windy day, but we had an open fair where people could come and we were all out just enjoying our time in the open, not in a place related to Western. It was a very nice experience to just be literally out in the community. And the office puts on lots of events, none small part being Kalamazoo, Pride Prom. That Western Michigan University has a Pride Prom that Outspoken and the office perform, usually held at the Radisson, I've noticed over the last few years. And that's an opportunity for not just students of Western, but also interested students from Kalamazoo who would like to attend responsibly and respectfully, and that was also a very fun event. As far as addressing your question about how to deal with coming out and issues of being out and how they're addressed by Outspoken and the office put forth a I don't know what to call it, they have a poster called Out at WMU, and it's an initiative to take faculty, staff, and students who are out or who would like to be out, not necessarily as gay or lesbian or as transgender or as bisexual or anything under the umbrella of queer, but also as allies, those who support those who identify differently and who are not represented in our community. Out at WMU is a poster that's been running for at least 2 years, I know, and I actually had the fortune to be on this poster this year. I was very excited. And when you notice a purple poster on campus, if you walk around, such as in the Honors College, you'll see this poster and you'll see all these faces of very recognizable faculty, including, if not this year, last year, I think this year though, the Associate Honors Dean, Jane Boss. So it's nice to see these prominent figures stepping forward saying, hey, I'm an ally, I support you. And this is an issue that people aren't addressing because it's often considered taboo. Something that was asked of me is to address coming out, and there's a point that I'd like to address first, and that's it's not necessary to come out. Coming out is an event that can take place in one's life when you feel safe mentally and physically and emotionally to do so. A lot of people lack the resources and the space to feel safe and to do so. I know that in school there's a lot of pressure to come out, but there's also a lot of pressure to stay in the closet, to use that cliche metaphor. And it often revolves around the idea of pleasing others and making others happy and meeting others' expectations. And there lies the initial problem, and that's that when you put your own identity and your own happiness at the request of others, that is very problematic, because you need to put yourself forward first, at least to a certain extent. Go through Maslow's hierarchy. You need to make sure that your basic needs and identity are met, and if someone's not encouraging you to be yourself, then you're going to be stinted in your growth. So I think that coming out is not necessary, although it becomes necessary when you're trying to actualize uh, who you'd like to be, how you see yourself, how you want others to see you, because gender expression, orientation, and its expression are very fluid. They actually will likely change throughout one's life, but at the same time, they're not something that someone else can change or someone else can provide to you. So if you don't give yourself that experience to identify with yourself, how in your life experience you imagine yourself or allow yourself to be, then you're limiting yourself. So people deserve that freedom, that safety to self-identify, preferably sooner than later. First of all, pride has been considered a deadly sin in many circles, and there's a certain extent where pride can hurt you. However, when one is deprived of a safe place, as we were just saying, to self-identify and to grow, I think pride is essential, is a necessary factor to grow and to contribute to society to the full extent of oneself. Because if you can't be yourself, then you can't be authentic. And if you can't be authentic, then you can't make a difference, be that difference in politics or in education or in social work or in your everyday job where you're trying to produce for your family. So I think that pride means to me recognition, affirmation, and really encouragement for others to be who they want to be.